Summer Lilith is potentially one of the most flexible new farming DPS in FGO. She has two different damage niches she can trigger herself, effectively 70% MP charge, strong party support, and if you want, she can even achieve a Flexible Arash effect after using her MP. But instead of treating her as just another quick looper, her real potential comes from multi-core farming and how much she can accomplish before leaving the field. So let's go over her kit, her strength and weakness, and how to actually get the most out of her. Starting with skill 1, it gives the party 2-hit evade for 3 turns, charges Lilith's own MP by 50%, and applies AoE confusion for 3 turns. The 50% battery already makes her easy to use in farming, while the party evade gives her some defensive utility outside of it. But most importantly, there is the enemy-wide confusion, because that's half of her MP damage gimmick. Skill 2 gives the party 20% quick and odds up, plus 30% crit damage up for 3 turns. On a darkness field, everyone also gets an extra 20% attack up. Lilith can't create darkness herself, so that attack buff isn't guaranteed, but even without it, she's already giving useful offensive support despite being your DPS. Skill 3 applies AoE charm for 1 turn, then gives the party 20% MP damage for 3 turns, 20% MP charge, and -1 skill cooldown. On top of that, you get an optional effect. Lilith can instantly kill herself after use her MP, ignoring both guts and instant death resistance, and because it's optional, you don't need to sacrifice her every time. If she's your main DPS, leave her on the field, but if she's only responsible for 1 wave, she can fire her MP, clear that wave, and automatically bring another servant in from the backline. Lilith has a 6-hit AoE quick MP. Before damage, she gains invincibility pierce and 50% special damage against confused enemy. The MP then deals 150 to 200% super effective damage against charmed enemy based on overcharge. After damage, she applies 20% defense down for 3 turns. Her own skill applies both charm and confusion to the enemy, so unlike a normal trait niche, Lilith can set up both of her damage condition herself. As long as the enemy can be debuffed, she can activate both effects on her own for extremely high MP damage and very broad offensive coverage. This is where Lilith becomes more than just another quick DPS. Skill 1 gives 50% MP charge, and skill 3 adds another 20 for the whole party, so Lilith effectively has 70% MP charge or 90 with max mana loading before receiving anything from another servant. Her MP refund alone isn't strong enough to call her a traditional 3-turn quick looper, but since she is also feeding your other DPS MP charge and offensive buffs, she fits extremely well into multi-core farming. And something that shouldn't be overlooked is how much party support Lilith provides despite being a DPS herself. She gives the team 20% quick, odds and MP damage up, 30% crit damage up, 20% MP charge, -1 skill cooldown, and 2-hit evade. And if you can provide a darkness field, Lilith also provides another 20% attack up. She's providing multiple damage buff types, MP access, cooldown utility, and survival at the same time. And because Lilith can still clear a wave herself before optionally leaving the field, you're getting all of this support without dedicating her slot to a pure support servant. Some people will compare her to Arbitron, which has a similar role and support kit, but I would rather compare her to a DPS leaning Elizabeth of the End. Lilith can support the party, personally clear a wave, and then open her frontline slot to another servant in harder 90+ or 90++ multi-core setups. This lets her act as both an attacker and temporary plug-in support in a single slot. If you don't trigger her sacrifice, she still works as a conventional DPS. Her MP has invincibility pierce and can stack defense down through repeated use, and she also brings party evade, charm for enemy control, and party cooldown reduction. So outside of farming, she still has plenty of uses. Her biggest weakness is that her MP ceiling depends on confusion and charm actually landing. Against normal farming enemies, this usually isn't a major issue, but against high debuff resistance or debuff immunity, she can lose one or even both of her damage niches, so this isn't unconditional damage against anyone. Her other issue is skill 3, her charm, party charge, MP damage, cooldown reduction, and sacrifice effects are all bundled into the same kit, so sometimes you have to hold her support effects until Lilith's own MP turn. That's probably the biggest practical restriction in an otherwise excellent support kit. And unlike support like Summer Chloe, Lilith can't just press her support skills and immediately leave the spot. She has to fire her MP before the sacrifice trigger. That's not a major concern in farming quests, but in harder content where damage is a priority, being forced to use an MP instead of your DPS card attack or losing a brave chain can be lethal. For conventional quick setup, Summer Skadi, Casa Skadi, or Oberon are still the easiest choices, but for multi-core farming, one of the best options is Loki. She already has excellent MP access and can give MP gauge to teammates, and more importantly, she creates Darkness Field, activating the extra 20% party attack up from Lilith's skill 2. Both servants can attack separate waves, support each other's MP access, and fully activate Lilith's offensive kit. Another interesting option is Summer Miscreant. She increases mental debuff success rate and provides AoE charm, making Lilith's confusion and charm setup more reliable. More importantly, an external charm source lets you trigger Lilith's super effective MP without relying entirely on skill freeze timing. It's more specialized, but it does address one of her biggest weaknesses. Overall, Summer Lilith is both a strong AoE rider and a surprisingly capable plug-in attacker. She has high MP damage potential, strong party support, easy MP access, and after doing her job, she can optionally remove herself and brings another servant onto the field. Her main restriction are her reliance on debuff and the awkward timing on skill 3, but if you build around those limitations, she's incredibly flexible for both tradition and multi-core farming. For those reasons, NP1 already gives you her complete utility package. Higher MP levels mainly matters if you need more damage to reliably clear a wave, so instead of asking can Summer Lilith loop 3 turns, the better question is how much can Lilith accomplish before she leaves the field. That's all for the Summer Lilith guide. How will you use her, and are you interested because of the sacrifice potential? Let me know in the comments. For more FGO guides and servant breakdowns, like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.